speaking valve is not working very well. But anyway, but today I am so excited to have Miss Jasmyn Nicole Patterson with me today. Who is a beautiful, beautiful young lady. We're going to talk about some of her original spoken word. She's not just an artist visually, like graphic. She does design, graphics, but she sings and she writes. She's a theater major, extremely talented, beautiful young lady. So, welcome, Miss Jasmyn Patterson, today.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's so good to have you. Listen, tell us a little bit about who is Jasmyn Patterson.
Who's Jasmyn Patterson? You summed it up well. I consider myself to just be an artsy person. I did major in theater at the Stephen F. Austin State University, and I've always had a passion for all things art. Since a young child, I wrote my first poem before I knew it was a poem in elementary, and I've been singing. I've got my singing. I start with music in the church, like most artists, and as I grow and evolve, I just find a passion for all art forms. I do spoken word, like you said, I do music. Um, I still have a passion for theater, so yeah, that's just me, just jazz.
Just Jazz. I've had the pleasure of watching Jasmyn grow from a 9.5-year-old young girl to this beautiful young woman, blossoming all along the way. And I'm so excited to have the world hear some of your stuff. But first, before we get into that, what inspires you? Like, what gets you going to write?
So I am currently in therapy, and I'm learning that I'm what you call an HSP, which is a hypersensitive person. And so I'm told that we feel deeply. And so a lot of the times we can get overcome with emotions, whether it's positive emotions or painful emotions. But I have found that my emotions have always morph themselves into art, into writing. I've just always been creative that way. That's how I've processed things through writing. That's how I've discovered pieces of myself through writing. And that writing has entwined itself in music, in theatrical pieces, and in spoken word. So I would say just being able to put those emotions that I feel in a place that's productive and that can eventually inspire someone else. So that's what inspires me. Just my inner work, my inner life. That's what I feel like pushes me and puts. That's what fuels my creativity.
I love that you said that you were in therapy and that's kind of helping you, I guess, put words to what you might be going through and dealing with. So, as a person who's in therapy, a lot of times in our culture,
Yeah.
I mean, it's better now, but there's still some stigma around
Yeah.
therapy and somebody so young. How do you overcompensate? Like, how do you deal with this stigma and what you're brave for one to even say it out loud,
Yeah.
and two to actually be going through it. So I applaud you and commend you for that. But how did you get to that point to where you said, you know what, I can't worry about what people say or what they think. I need to go talk to somebody.
The results are what takes away the stigma, because once you, at first, getting into therapy was it feels like a risk. You feel a little bit of fear. You feel, because it's really a vulnerable, sacred work, and so you're opening up the most sacred parts of yourself to technically a stranger. But just taking that risk and being invested in it with all the ambiguity, with all the not knowing. I tried to use that big word, it didn't work out. But with all the not knowing and just like the unsureness of it, leaning into that, even though you're unsure, and just trusting someone who's trained to guide you through what is in you, and seeing the positive results. Because at first, when I was meeting with my therapist, I was like, I don't know how this is working out. But the more that we dug deeper, the more that I trusted her, the more I started to look and see, like, wow, I'm changing. I don't think how I used to think. Like, things that bothered me don't seem to bother me as much. Like, I struggled heavily with anxiety. I started seeing a great regulation in that. So I think the results, and just, you have to just kind of lean and trust. You have to just kind of take the leap, take the jump, and just trust that, it's a sacred and it's a positive work.
I love that you said that. In growing up in church, your dad's a pastor.
Yeah.
And in the church, sometimes we have this false notion that a doctor for every part of our body except our brain is okay. What would you say to people that might be a little reluctant in that, or they may think, well, I've got faith, so that means if I go see somebody, that means I don't have faith. How do you respond to somebody that might be struggling with something and are a little apprehensive to reach out to a therapist?
I say that sometimes, and this is not coming from me, I'm a big follower and lover of Dr. Anita Phillips, and so I study what she says. And she's written a book called The Garden Within, and so I've learned from that book and just heard like different sermons and teachings that emotions and all of that is in our body. I think we think it's two separate things. We think like, oh, well, if I get sick, I'm going to the physical doctor, and then, but my emotions, everything, that's something separate. But no, it's just like your leg pain, like all of that is in your body. And so she always talks about, like, you wouldn't say, well, I've been having this leg pain, but, I'm just going to have faith that it's going to turn away. Yes, we have faith. Yes, we are people of faith. Yes, we still pray, but like you're going to use your resources and look to those people who have the wisdom and the training. You're going to do it all. And so I don't know what's the difference between like doing that for a mental health place and a physical body health place, because it's all you. It's all your body. It's all still you. So I would just say to push past that apprehensiveness and just try it. You don't have to like give it a try at first, and let God lead you in like who your therapist is going to be. That's what happened for me. Like, he led me to like the perfect therapist for me, who is faith-based, and we share a belief in Christianity, so she knows my language, she knows my morals, she knows, the lens from which I see my life, because it's similar to hers, and so she's able to kind of relate to me in that way. But there's plenty of Christian therapists out here who y'all can look for, and you just have to, and at the end of the day, honestly, stuff will get so hard to where it'll push you to do it. When you start seeing that nothing is working, when you start seeing that, like, the word says, it's faith without works is dead.
Yes.
So like, therapy is the work. The faith, you can have all that faith, but if you're not doing the work, if you're not tilling the ground of your soul, of your own mental health, you're operating in a dead faith. So.
Come on, Jasmyn. Yes. love this young lady. Oh, I just love her. So we're gonna move past the therapy conversation.
Yeah.
But you know what I want to know? You have this drive and ambition and gift of being able to stand in front of people and put on a character and get immersed in that character. Tell me, is there a single actor or actress that just, if they were to walk in the room right now, you would just be on the floor? Somebody that you've watched and admired for so long.
I have a lot. I have a lot of actors, and through different stages of my life, it's changed and evolved. Um, Someone I will say that is consistent though is Felicia Rashad. Uh, you know this. I love Felicia Rashad, and it is, people think it's Felicia. It's Felicia. That is from her mouth. It is pronounced Felicia Rashad. She is just all things grace, and I think it's immersed in our childhood because she's Claire Huxtable. She's the mom of the American mom. Like, she just, the way she can give us so much versatility. I love that. But I just love how much she knows herself, and that bleeds off in every character that she plays. Like, she's very self-actualized. She's like, she knows who Felicia is. And I think that's inspiring, and for her to be able to play characters and, you know, still immerse herself in it, but then step out of it and still remain Felicia is inspiring. So yeah, that's one of them.
I'm looking at your smile right now, and it's
Oh
just
my
like,
gosh,
if she were to walk in this room.
I would probably like I'll be very nervous, and I'll probably bow. Not bow and like I'm worshiping her, but just like, you know, curtsy, because she's like so regal. And I would just be quiet because she's a person that, like, you, when she comes in the room, her presence is felt, and like, you want to just listen to her. Like, there's no need to fill up the space because her words will do that enough. So I don't know. Yeah.
I love that. So I've been following you, and you have this thing that I've been watching, talking about join me with, or a day with Jazz or something like that. Tell us a little about what that is right now.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm just trying to be like the rest of the world. As a little people around me, my friends, have a running joke saying, Jazz, you're an influencer. And I'm just like, what? No, I'm not. Like, but I don't know. People be interested in what I put on social media, and so I just lean into that now. And so sometimes I'm on there being a self-proclaimed comedian. Sometimes I'm on there just showing people what I like to do. Last week, my therapist has been kind of on me about like having self-care moments. And so I was like, I'm just going to show myself being. And sometimes social media, we can show our most biggest perfected cookie cutter highlight moments, and that's great. Of course, you know, we don't want to show all of our down moments, but sometimes like simply just normalizing, like just being simple, like just everyday life makes other people be like, okay, you know, oh, I feel seen. Because we have a lot of like, we got all the it girls, and we got all the, you know, black girl luxury, and like, yeah, we all want to do that. Yeah, we all want to obtain that, but what happens when that's not your present right now? So that's not my present right now. So I think I'm just displaying my present and just taking the shame away of that.
You know, you just said a mouthful, because I think that's one of the things I am leaning into right now since February, having this current state of nonverbal uncomfortableness or the challenge with breathing and talking, and now I got to push to talk. Trying to lean into that and being authentically myself.
Yeah.
It's interesting, those of us that are bubbly and happy, and then when you show up and you're not what they perceive you to be, sometimes they're taken aback, like, wait, what's wrong? Well, no, I'm just living. I'm human too. I'm dealing with things as well. I struggle too. I don't have to always be all happy-go-lucky, but then I don't have to always be Debbie Downer either.
Yeah. We're multifaceted. We are literally created in God's image, and God, the way I believe, He is 1 in 3 person, and so I feel like as humans, we are multifaceted. We are soul, spirit, body, so that means we're not gonna always just. I feel like, and that's something I've been dealing with lately. Like, people, it's so common in our culture to fit yourself in a box. And I was really struggling with this the other day. I was talking to God and I was really crying. I always cry. Crying is my superpower. I was crying and I was like, I just don't know what it is I'm supposed to be doing. Like, I have all these things that God has given me. I feel like there's a scripture in the Bible that talks about like He's given to 1 2 talents, 1 to 5, 1 to 10. And I feel like I'm the person with the 10 talents, but I'm living in a world where it's like, okay, hone this in. You need one niche. Like, you need one thing that you do well. You're going to either be, and it's just like, I don't fit in these boxes. And for a long time, I just feel like I'm trying to fit myself into a box. Oh, am I supposed to be doing acting? Am I supposed to be doing music? Do I want to be a therapist? Do I want to be a content creator? Do I want to be a creative director? Do I want to be like all of these things? And I'm just trying to fit myself into this label. And I'm learning, like, some people, you're the person with the 10 talents, and like, you really, too much is given, much is required. You got to basically be able to live in all of those things. And I don't know how that looks right now because I'm still dealing with that, but I think it looks as in like, it's okay for me to flow to those different places. And so I'm not always going to be Jazz the singer. I'm not always going to be Jazz the poet. I'm not going to always be Jazz the writer. Like, I'm all of those things, and being able to flow from each of them is going to be my life.
Absolutely. It's girl,
Yeah.
You are preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
I remember somebody telling Madelyn, just focus. Like, I am focused on
Like,
this today.
but you don't, yeah.
And then in an hour, I'm focused on that.
Yeah.
But it looks like I'm scatterbrained.
Yes, but it's just like they don't see all the things that you have to literally spread your brain
Right.
to.
And I feel so fulfilled when I have the freedom and flexibility
To do that. Yeah.
I feel stifled when they are like, no, just do this. And it's like,
Because it gets draining. It's because it's something in you that knows that, like, okay, I have this other realm, like this other thing, and it's time to invest. Because it changes. Like, it's like there's times where I was like, I'm not on theater. That's not what I'm thinking about. And there's been times where, like, I'm done, singing. And it's just like, it's not that I'm done, but like maybe my time for that is just, that's not in the forefront. That's not on the front burner. Like, maybe it's something else that I have in me that needs to be fed for that time. So, yeah, don't know how that looks. I don't think people like us will have a cookie cutter plan. I think we're kind of going to have to just flow like water through the rest of our lives.
Exactly, and I love that. That's a Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee said, don't flow like water, be like water. And it's funny because I was praying to God the other day. I was like, Lord, really? February, I get the surgery that I have every year, a few times a year. And then I have an opportunity at my podcast and a show. And now I've got this.
Yeah.
And for a minute, I mean, I was in that same space of, really, God, why would you give this to me and now I can't speak? And he's like, Madelyn, there's microphones. We can fix that in the back.
Yeah.
I helped Moses with Aaron. I got ways. You just have to be faithful. If I put it inside of you, I'm going to bring it to fruition.
Yeah.
And it may not look like what you thought it was going to look like. And you got to keep pushing. I'm going to keep testing you. So now I'm pushing the talk. I was like, today, God, I got an interview.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, today, you keep going. And so I love that about you, Jasmyn, too, that even when adversity is hit, when people said this, said that, you're on this great health journey.
Yeah.
I am so proud of you. Do you want to share, like, a little bit about your health journey that you're on?
Yeah. Well, so your girl I ended up getting diagnosed with diabetes. Was it last summer? And it was devastating to me because I hear that and I just think of my paternal grandparents, my maternal grandparents dealing with that, eventually passing. And I am also a person who deals with a lot of anxiety, so I was just like, oh, Lord. But I will say, being diagnosed, I don't think it was... I would say God worked it out for my good because it really was a wake-up call for me. Because if not, I would have continued on, like, just not observing my health or anything like that. So definitely had to change the way I was eating, everything, be more of a co-partner with my doctors, and actually not just like ignore the problem, because I've been heavy all my life. But so you can kind of become so very like used to a thing that it's just like you don't even see it. Like it's just like, okay, whatever, until something comes and unearths you. And so that's what happened. And I have recently noticed that I've weighed myself and I've lost like 70 pounds. And so I was like, okay, wow. So I'm starting to visualize a life of me not having to walk through with a lot of weight. Like it's starting to show me like, oh, I can actually, like, cause you just get so used to it. I mean, like since I was a child, I'm just going to be a heavy person. Like this is just who it is. This is just what it is. But I've realized like, oh no, like I really can do this. And like now I'm kind of in a place of like, wow, what does life look like not being like, because I will eventually, God willing, start to shed more weight. Like what does life look like then? Like who is Jazz then? I don't know.
And I believe, yes, we're not really focused on the weight per se, although the weight, it's a great outcome. It's the
health part. Yeah, definitely. I was thinking, little things like my plus size people, like you start to notice like clothes are fitting me different. It was something, I don't even remember. It was something that the rest of the world does that probably just, I don't remember if I was trying to like, if it was crossing my legs or something. It was something so minute that like the rest of the world probably, people who are, normal size probably do all the time. I realized, I was like, oh wait, this is easier for me to do than like a few months ago. And so I'm just starting to notice like, wow, like hopefully I will get to a point where like, I'm able to breathe better and I'm able to do things, that are minute things, but like they're big like wins for me. Like, so yeah, I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about that. What I want to hear a little bit before we get into the poetry and spoken word. You've got a project that you are working on right now.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the project?
Yeah. So shout out to Sierra Davis. um, an all things creative, artsy. I don't even know how to. She's one of those people who can't be labeled either.
She's a beast.
A media mogul. Like she's one of those people who just can't be labeled because she operates in different realms. God allowed me to like connect with her, and she was just like, you need to start getting music out, and she's like, you need to be an artist. And I was like, yeah, girl, like, I mean, okay, I understand. Like I've heard that for a long time. People come, you sing at their church, they say, oh, when you gonna put something out. I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah. And so she was like, no, I'm gonna help you do that. And I was just like, girl, I didn't heard that, but okay. But when she really like showed up and like was like, nah, like, and I also through her I met like a collective of really dope people, really talented worship people. Shout out to Brianna Wade, Francesca, Za. Being able to be connected with them really started like making me see like, oh wait, like I really can do it. Shout out to Gio. Having these people who know how to engineer, who know how to make, tracks. Jordan, shout out to you. I gotta shout out everybody. So I was able to go over to Sierra. She has a really cool like home studio and record my very first like written single. And so I'm very like excited, and I was just talking to Sierra about like the project that I believe I want to like put out an EP, but just being able to like, I've been writing songs on my own for the longest, but being able to like get with someone and actually put something out and have it be like where she's able to like, put a track to it and everything. Like that was my first time doing any of that studio work. She was like, "This your first time in the studio?" I was like, "Yeah." And so I'm really excited to see where this goes. And yeah, I just want to put out more music, more creative works. I told myself this is the year of putting myself out there more, going and auditioning for community works, putting myself out there. So yeah.
Look at you, you're on the stage with me with an interview. Look at that.
Yeah.
Your first official interview.
Yeah.
And I get to say I had her on here first.
Yeah.
So when she makes it big, she started right here in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
I love that. So I'm gonna put you on the spot. I need to hear a little bit of something acapella. Come on, Miss Jasmyn.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god.
You can take us to church or you can do whatever.
I don't think I'm gonna take us to church. I don't know. Okay. Ooh, okay, I'll do. I can't hold it in forever. Eventually I'll have to breathe. Didn't hit a lot behind the lies, behind the walls. Now it's crashing in on me. Comes to the light, comes to the light. Everything comes to the light, comes to the light. Comes to the light, comes to the light. Everything comes to the light, comes to the light. That's Jill Scott, so yeah. Jill Scott, love her, comes to the light.
Yeah. You just took me out.
Oh my God, bye, man. Bye.
Yes, baby girl, that was it. Thank you so much. So, my last question to you before we get into your work. What would you tell your younger self as you're sitting here today about to record, you're working on your first EP project. You'll probably end up doing a video about it. You're auditioning for things going to be out there. What would you tell your younger self? Who maybe a little bit, because I remember, I wish I had some footage. I think I still have it at the house. You were singing at the church. and you got up there and you just started crying. Like you were just so shy, and we had to get up there and stand. It's like, baby, you can do it. What would you tell your younger self? Some advice about what's going on in her life.
I would tell her, you're not shy. You're afraid to let the big light or being that you know is in you out. You're afraid that if you let it out fully, people might not like it. People might not like you. People will judge it. So you're trying to hold it in and protect it by masking it with shyness. But the moment you let it out, you will see how revolutionary it is. Like how much power is in it, how much inspiration and how much freedom you'll feel. And so I'm saying that to her and to me still, because I feel like I've let it out, but I'm still learning to be comfortable with it, with me being fully standing in the light of all that I am, because I'm standing in it, but I don't always be comfortable. So yeah.
What is that quote? It says, our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate,
So that we are far far beyond. I don't know. I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah, and I really believe, I'll find that quote, but I really believe that that's, for many of us, there's a light that's inside.
Yeah.
And too many times in our childhood, it's been diminished and snuffed out. And you girls sit down, well, you don't be doing all of that. Why? You're too loud, you're too this, you're too that. And I remember, like, I have to tell the little girl in myself, it's okay to be too whatever.
Yeah.
Because that's who you are.
Yeah.
No, God put that in you. So I have to tell my younger son, I gotta keep forgiving myself and allowing myself to be that big person that I know that's inside of me. And I don't know why it makes other people fear when let's say I'm this big person, but next to me they're feeling like, oh, you're too big. No, but do you realize that my light and your light coming together, our light will shine even brighter?
Yeah.
But it's not a competition. I don't understand. It's not a competition. But it feels like that sometimes.
That's just a mindset. Comparison is a thief of joy. We are kind of stuck in an individualistic society that is kind of making us look, well, how can I get there? How can I do it? And then we look at other people and how did they do it? And they got it before me. Instead of looking and even just freely being and like also trying to like collab with people. I've heard that like a lot. I've heard a lot of people say like trying to collaborate here, you know, in Austin, not even just Austin, but like our society, it seems as if everybody's like, I don't want to collab. Everybody's trying to be better than each other. Everybody's trying to compare. And it just goes back to like you were saying, like, I don't think people see everybody's trying to govern and protect their own light, that they don't see like if I just let my light shine and I am not looking at anybody else's light, but just letting my light shine and allowing other people to let their light shine around me, eventually we all gonna be shining our lights and it's gonna be brighter. So like, I don't know. Yeah.
I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and we kind of went a little deep. Some of that, I believe, was taken out of us with Jim Crow, slavery, and you know. So I mentioned this, I think, on one of my other shows, that we're just one generation from civil rights.
Yeah.
You know, so we've got to allow ourselves to go, let's recognize where we are. But that quote is, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful.
Beyond measure.
Beyond measure.
I know something is like something beyond measure, but yeah.
Yes, and I really do believe that we are
too
Too.
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it can, I guess, people allow it to intimidate them because it kind of shines a light on, okay, well, why am I not moving in that power? And instead of saying, well, letting it be inspiration, people let it intimidate them.
Yeah.
And they let it, and it's just like, if you would just do the work, if you would just let go of the fears and find, do the stonework and find out what it is that you're supposed to be doing in your purpose and fully leaning into it, like, you'll be in the same place. Yeah. If not in the same place, but you'll be in the place that you're maybe needing to be and be content with it. But
but you said something earlier. It's not getting to the comparisons. My light might not be as bright as yours, but it's my light.
Yeah. And I even think it might be as bright, but it might not shine in the same way.
Exactly.
Might not shine the same color.
Exactly.
Might not shine in the same direction. I feel like you can't we're so very much so comparing ourselves to people, thinking that, looking at their lane, not knowing that, like, somebody else is running on a track while you might be running, cross country. Like, we're all on different paths. And when I mean different paths, like, we are all, the playing field is not the same. Everybody has their own race, and it's in a different environment. It's in different, like, so you can't even compare yourself to, well, this person got there faster. Well, they might have had not to jump over as many hurdles as you had to. They might have not, had to experience some of the things you've experienced. We're all on our own playing field. And so you can't compare yourself, because it's like, how in, I don't know about y'all, but when we used to take tests in high school or middle school, teachers started, like, catching on people cheating. So they started giving out different tests. And if you leaned over and copied off of someone else's answers, thinking that, oh, I'm getting the answers, well, you're getting the answers, but they have a whole different test than you. And so I feel like when we compare ourselves, we're trying to look, well, how do they do it? And it's just like, they got a whole different test than you. So it'd be best for you to study. It'd be best for you to look within yourself and find out who you are, find out who God's wanting you to be, and learn your test. So, yeah.
And then walk in that authentic, it took me a while to get to a point where I was comfortable in my own skin, with the comparisons and all the other stuff. And I am living my best life.
Yeah.
Like, I am, it's funny because even people still now, well, you're a pastor's wife and you're this and you're that. But I'm Madelyn.
Yeah.
That is, I am all of that.
Yeah.
And a bag of chips.
Yeah. I think that whole, don't get me started on that.
Go ahead.
No.
on the pastor's wives.
Yeah, like, people see that as, like, that's just who, like, somebody doesn't become a pastor's wife and then it just, like, oh, that's who they are, that's their skin now. Like, no, that's just another hat. And it's just like, I put that hat on and I
don't want to wear the hat. Maybe I don't want to wear the hat.
And it's just, and then also, like, there's another thing, there's not a specific blueprint on how pastors' wives should be. Like, it's gonna be patterned to, your church, your husband. But before the first things first, like, you're yourself before any of that.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna make one correction. I would say it's mostly patterned to your husband and not your church.
Yeah.
Because I married him or he married me.
Yeah.
And
I think there's a lot of pressure on that, in the black church. And I understand, because the history of it is to, like, bring a certain amount of reverence, like, for a long time. And this didn't come from me, this didn't come from me. This actually came from Dr. Anita Phillips. But she was talking about how for a long time, and it made so much sense. She talked about, like, the history of black church. And so she said, for a long time, as black people, when we were going through the civil rights movement and all of those things, we did not have the amount of authority or power, like, in our everyday lives. And so church, and even going before the civil rights movement, going back to slavery, church was a place where we were able to form these titles. And it's kind of like to give us a sense of reverence where in our everyday lives we were not able to obtain because of, racism, because of discrimination, because of Jim Crow, all of that stuff. And so we created these titles, and she said our pastors became, and the pastors' wives became our first ladies, and we added this reverence because we were creating our own sense of like regalness and things like that. And so it's great, and it's great to have reverence and all that, but I feel like the title that was supposed to be a crown kind of can become a cage, so I don't know. We kind of need to look over that, and I don't know. I don't have all the answers or anything like that.
I'm glad you said that because, it's now 8 years, and I told you I had started to come into my own. But then 8 years ago, I got slapped with this. But whoever you are is really not good enough as the pastor's wife. And I really went into a shell for almost 2 years of just really like second guessing myself, like, and I had to really pray and ask God, like, help me walk in this. But for a while I allowed what other people thought, what other people said, and I allowed them to make me feel as if I wasn't good enough. I wasn't adequate enough.
Yeah.
The way I dressed, the way I didn't sit on the second row. I didn't wear hats. I didn't operate in what their mind said looked like a pastor's wife. Now I love people. I have a big heart, and I would, give you the shirt off my back. But that wasn't good enough. It was what I physically looked like.
Yeah. And that's so trivial. Like, that's so... But it's also something that is just deeply rooted. Like, it's some healing that we have to do, relearning as the Black church, the culture of the Black church, because people are tied. They've almost minimized it. They've minimized the title to just a physical thing, and it's just like, no, you're not striving to fit into the title of pastor's wife. No, you've taken that on, and that fits into who you are already. And so you've got to, I know, and a lot of older saints, older people, they're just so used to, it's like they've gotten kind of stuck on how, and it's almost as if like they have a box, like that the first lady this is how she should be, it's this box, and they're trying to fit different people, other people into their box, and when you don't fit, it causes conflict within them. So it's kind of like going back to what we were saying, like, we have to learn that, like, nobody really is going to fit into these boxes. So we have to learn to, like, maybe instead of trying to change what we're trying to put into the box, maybe we need to change the box. Maybe we need to get rid of the box.
And I can give grace, especially to our older saints, because of what they went through. Their intentions were not a negative. It was really
it's a learned behavior. It's just that's what they're accustomed to. That's what they know.
And for many of them, it was to your point, like, oh, she represents who I am not.
Yeah.
So it's like they were living vicariously
through
the first lady. It's like, oh, she represents me.
Yeah.
She can go places I can't go.
Yeah.
So I can appreciate that aspect, and I can give them grace, and at the same time, I can appreciate that we're women who are married to men who happen to be pastors.
Yeah.
And now that he and I are one, doesn't change who I am, but it should enhance. And he picked me not to be the pastor's wife but to be his wife, right?
Absolutely.
I just love that. And as a PK, I know you have some.
Yeah.
Because I was a PK too, so I understand
I was
this.
just talking to somebody. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I'm going to start a group here in Austin for pastors' kids, or preachers' kids, kids whose parents are in ministry, period. We need to have a support group. We need to have I don't know. I'm going to start it up if you're seeing this. We need to all go to the Chili's together or something. Because, yeah, it's a lot of things that would seem like not a big deal to everyone else that is just, it is. It's just different. I don't know how to even explain because, yeah, it's something that, but PKs everywhere, they're feeling what I'm saying. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. You don't have the doctor's kids dealing with that.
No, and that's the thing about, this is only, even with the First Lady whole kid, that's not common in other, that's something, so it's something in our culture that has put the pastoral family as a whole in a different space.
Yeah.
And I think our intentions of back then doing it was just a place of reverence and wanting to feel and make ourselves as a collective feel value.
Yeah.
But it's in some areas shifted and put a lot of pressure on people who are pastors and pastors' families. So we really kind of need to look at that and have more conversations about that.
I am all for you getting a group. Y'all heard it here first.
Yeah.
Jasmyn's gonna get a group together.
Oh my God.
For PKs, preacher kids, pastors'
we'll have
kids.
A conference or something.
Absolutely, I love it. Well, Jasmyn, thank you so much for spending some time with me today.
Thank you.
It was really enjoyable.
Yes, I was very nervous. Thanks.
You were not nervous?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, pretty much.
Do you regret being here?
No, not at all. But I definitely was a little but yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. Again, thank you to Miss Jasmyn Patterson. Tell them where they can follow you, Jasmyn.
You can follow me on Jazzin on the One. So that's JAZZIN on the One, and that's across Instagram. You can and TikTok. So please follow me on TikTok, please. And on Facebook you can find me at Jasmyn Patterson. I have an artist page that I need to rebuild. You can also find me on TikTok under the name Jazz the Great. So yeah, follow me and. Yeah.
And be on the lookout. So when is the EP or single gonna drop or scheduled?
There's no scheduled date. But I'm looking. I would like to put out something by fall. So fingers crossed. And I'll do a Beyonce. I'll just pop up with something and just.
All right, Beyonce.
Just shock the internet, put something out. So yeah.
All right, well, thanks again, Jazz, for joining me today. I appreciate you. Absolutely. You did great, baby. You did great.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Until next time.